Hey everyone, welcome back to another Secrets and Analysis video. This is going to be the second to last one, which is on the zoo. I'm here with Michael, and we are going to be discussing all the little secrets found in this episode. So it was a pretty cool episode. I think it pretty much confirmed the theory that Ronaldo had about the human zoo, even though it was already mentioned before, but this time we actually get to see it, for the whole episode pretty much. And it starts off right where the last one ended. Steven finds himself in the zoo where his father is, thankfully safe. So that's good to see.
Yeah, it was really interesting because it's not at all what we were expecting up to this point, because it sounded like this terrible, torturous, inhumane place. And then he just lands on a beautiful, tropical island. It was really interesting to see.
Totally different than what we would expect for something from Homeworld. It's how they, how we assume they treated humans in the past. Yeah. Of course, they changed, I guess, but we see that these are actually humans, which are descendants of those taken from Earth thousands of years ago, which is really interesting. And that means that they have no concept of a lot of stuff from our society today, or in that universe. And they even call Greg Gareg, and Steven Stevan, because it actually sounds like their names, like K1. They probably know no other way that a name should be. So also in zoo, there's a lot of variety with these humans' looks, and a lot of people noticed that one even kind of looked like Greg. Pretty sure that was just a coincidence there. Mm-hmm. Young Greg. So basically, like I mentioned in the last Secrets and Analysis episode, that they all have these earrings, or at least Steven got some, but we see that all of them have it, and they're really interesting. And I saw a couple people kind of say that these earrings may have been, the voice in the earrings may have been Pink Diamond's voice, because if you remember in Rose's room that we saw a tiny floating whale, and it had a voice. I think it might have said hello or something. I know it made a couple noises, but it turned out to be Rose's voice. So that could be like a similar thing here. It could have just been pre-recordings, or somehow it makes words out of syllables that they recorded. So I think that'd be really interesting if that was the case.
Yeah, that's really interesting. I didn't even think of that at all. But yeah, I guess they could be pre-recordings. For some reason, I pictured it as live, but I guess there's nothing really there that would make that the case, really. So yeah, it's possible there's just someone monitoring it and replaying Pink Diamond's voice.
Mm-hmm. So other cool things about the zoo was that their food just, pretty much appeared on trees. So it's like a pretty cool utopia there. These people, or Zoomen, never got, that's what they call them, never get hurt and are always happy. And, how is this possible? Because humans obviously just aren't like that in general. There's always going to be something.
Yeah.
Even though they were never taught, to be, unhappy or whatnot. It's kind of weird, how they wouldn't know what hurt is or anything.
Yeah, I don't know.
How Gem fully erased these concepts from them is pretty unbelievable.
Yeah, I don't know how that's even possible, because you would think someone would trip and fall or do something wrong, because humans don't have a 100% success rate. So you would think eventually someone would mess something up. And also, they have to have babies. So, what do they think the babies are doing when they're crying?
That's painful, having children. That would be hurt.
Yeah, that too. Well, we go there, but yeah, what?
Oh yeah, true.
How do they do they just give them some type of gem magical numbing powers, or something, or medicine or something like that? Or maybe there's something in the fruit that they give them that's kind of numbs any physical harm that would have normally been done. Obviously, that can't account for emotional harm, but maybe their life is so perfect and routine that there's no room for emotional trauma, and the fruits basically just numb their pain. I don't know. It's kind of probably looking too deep into it, but yeah.
Yeah. Oh man, that's pretty interesting. We also get to see the flowers again from Steven's dream. So that pretty much is oh yeah, those represent Pink Diamond. Those exact same flowers, I believe. Mm-hmm. So they have all this earth stuff in the zoo probably. I would assume those are, I don't know, because they did something to trees, obviously. They can grow the fruits. I don't know.
Yeah.
But, of course, to be the, negative person about things, Steven has a hard, of all people, Steven has a hard time understanding these humans. It doesn't make sense to him how they act at all. But, they've never lived anywhere else or on Earth. so they have no idea about, you know, what else is out there or other concepts, you know. So
yeah, the whole thing was like so twisted because like they're living well, you know, they're enjoying themselves, they're happy, but at the same time they're prisoners. So it was just like a really like twisted, complicated moral like dilemma there, and it's like almost kind of creepy because like, what if we're in a zoo and we have no idea we're in a zoo?
Right.
Yeah, it's kind of weird.
I'm surprised the show went there, but it went there. Yeah. So of course, Steven and Greg tried to escape, but you know they have trouble because obviously the wall. You know, they don't know how to open the wall, which well, it's a door, but they just think it's the Zoomans just think it's a wall. But they tell Steven about an old story where the wall opened and a gem helped someone who was hurt. This may have, who knows, this could have been a rose quartz or, you know, the rose quartz that we know, which would be really interesting.
Yeah, I think if, well, you mentioned before, you know, how it may have been rose quartzes. We can probably make a whole video on this, but how it may have been rose quartzes that came to basically nurture the Zooman instead of amethyst before pink diamond was eventually shattered. So that could have been the catalyst of why rose quartz became a crystal gem and decided to fight for Earth in the first place, was because of kind of taking care of the humans that were in the zoo, and you know, seeing that their lives do have value and meaning.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think I was gonna mention that a little bit more in the next video. Okay. So you'll probably hear me talk about that again.
Yeah.
But yeah, it definitely works in this situation. So basically, these Zoomen don't know what hurt is, but you know, that's like pretty much the only time that somebody's ever been hurt was in that situation. So then Steven decides that someone must get hurt for that, and then, you know, he thinks it's physically like hurt, so he punches his dad. But nothing happens there. So I guess maybe people have gotten hurt a little bit, but you know, it's not enough to open the doors for that.
Yeah.
So they're like, oh crud, what are we gonna do now? Because obviously that kind of hurt was not the kind of hurt that warrants the door opening. So then basically right after that, after they go to sleep or something for a little bit, the choosing happens, which, you know, is basically like matchmaking.
Hey.
So that okay then. I wasn't gonna go there. But basically, yeah, so the gems could probably control the population to how they want. That's basically what it is. And also the circle that they stand around is like strange and glowing. That's kind of weird, but I don't think it means anything.
Probably not. Just aesthetic.
Yeah, right. So of course, you know, as I would probably guess that this would happen, Greg gets chosen. Of course, he doesn't want to be because, you know, it's kind of weird, you know, obviously. He is, you know, of course, the Zoomans have no problem with this, but because they've never known anything else. But, you know, Greg tells them that on Earth, anyone can choose anyone they want. And, you know, so, of course, what happens next is that all the Zoomans try and choose him, but he rejects them, and they all become sad and angry at the same time. And so this was actually the kind of hurt that caused the doors to open in the past, and so happened once again here. And it turned out that it was emotionally hurt that was needed, not physically, which is really interesting. That, you know, we got to see, I guess, it was showing that one side of hurt. You know, there's two sides to hurt, I guess.
Yeah, it seemed like it was less about the humans getting physically damaged and more so about them, about the order kind of being broken within the island and just kind of becoming mayhem, then becoming dissatisfied with the situation and kind of wanting something else, I guess. It is basically more so a means of control rather than actually making sure they feel good, basically.
So then right after that, something that's, you know, could be potentially pretty big that I'll probably make a theory video on is that when the humans get hurt, they reach their hands up into the sky, which reminded me of something from my very first theory video ever, which is the mural from Serious Steven. In it, we see on the left side, we see hands reaching up to a gem, which, you know, who could be White Diamond. I'll talk about that more. We don't really know who that is. So that's really interesting that they do that. They do that twice in the episode. So were they taught to do this or something? I mean, they've been told to reach your hands up. But I guess it was just kind of like a instinct of them to do that when they're hurt. That's pretty interesting. So maybe the mural will start to make sense too soon. We saw the mural again in the first episode of The Bomb, Steven's Dream, in Buddy's book. So I don't think the Crew Universe has forgotten about it or decided to, take it off of the story, because it's been so long. It's from season 1 and we're in season 4. So if they're gonna finally start getting to that, because I don't know, looking at the mural, it makes almost no sense. Like, even as we learn more about the diamonds, it's making less sense. I would say. So I don't know if it does become relevant soon, then that's going to be pretty awesome. And one last thing also, that in the episode before Gem Heist, I believe, there was this moment where Holly Blue kind of, I don't know, makes the floor transparent and they can look down. I don't know what they were looking at, probably the zoo.
Yeah, they were.
Okay.
Yeah.
Makes no sense. So that also means the gems are looking up from the down on them, which mirrors the mural where the hands were reaching up to a gem that would look like she was looking down on them. So that could also be paralleling that. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah, and that's my thought. We probably make a full video on it, but that the gem in the mural that's basically looking down on the humans. Like, if you look at it from the angle, humans are looking up. That's probably Pink Diamond, since it was Pink Diamond Zoo. And
why would White Diamond be there?
Yeah, and the description of someone getting hurt and the doors opening once, like that's been mentioned twice. So I feel like that moment was a pivotal moment for the rebellion, whether it started it or whatever it was. But I think that moment actually plays more importance than it may have seemed at first.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah.
I hope it does.
Yeah.
So basically after that, the doors open and the Amethysts try to comfort them. Like I said, this is probably what rose quartz. This might have been what rose quartzes were made for. Maybe, like we said, rose quartz may have worked in the zoo, and also on Earth, being in the field as a medic or something. Could have done both, on and off. Who knows? Something like that. But basically, after that, episode pretty much ends when Greg and Steven are taken by an amethyst, which we learn later that they're taken to where the others are at. So that pretty much ends off the episode.
Yep. Yeah, it was a really good episode. Like, really interesting to see what the zoo was finally, even though it technically hasn't been that long, but it was just like such a huge question mark of what the zoo could possibly be. And I think it's not anything that we were expecting. So it was really cool to see.
Pretty much. Yeah, I love this episode just because it was like, Ronaldo was right again. Like, oh my gosh, can he stop? We mentioned this in a couple episodes. Like 2 episodes ago, we were like, what else is he going to be right about? We don't know. I don't know. Like, some of his other predictions are not very, are very interesting, to say the least.
Yeah. Spoiler alerts. Ronaldo's right about everything. If you want to know what happens, listen to Ronaldo.
Yeah, pretty much. Follow his blog, Keep City Weird.
Yeah, seriously.
Promo right there. Okay, so that pretty much covers it for this episode, and we'll be back very shortly tomorrow for the last episode. That will be all. Thanks for watching.
See ya.